A medieval masterpiece of power, strategy, and ingenuity. The objective is brutally simple. Engage your enemy in an all-out exchange of cannon fire. Then assess the damage and rebuild your castle. But the reality of Rampart is far more complex. The key to victory lies in how quickly you can pick up the pieces and redesign, refortify, and extend your walls before the next battle begins. Whether you're facing an onslaught from the computer's armada or pitting your castle cannons against another player's, there's only one way out. Defend or perish. At least that's what they'd like you to think in Rampart from Bitmasters and Jalico, or Jailco, January 1992. Wow, this was on a lot of different consoles, viewers. A lot of different consoles. Game Boy had one, the Master System, Game Boy Color, the Commodore 64, the Lynx had one. There's an SNES version, PC version. Man, there's a bunch of them. Let me tell you what, there's a bunch of these things. And it's a pretty fun game. I had not played it until now. I'm just kind of... Excuse me, one that randomly appeared in my list. It was originally an arcade game, released in 1990 by Atari Games, and combines puzzles and shoot-'em-ups. Rampart, we are in control of a set of castles in which we must defend by alternately shooting at attacking ships or other players and repairing any damage done to them within a time limit. Surrounding this castle is a wall made up of small blocks, completely surrounding a region of the board. This area is considered the player's territory, and it may contain one or more castles and any number of cannons. The maintenance of this territory is the primary focus of the game. The single-player game consists of 6 levels. The ultimate aim is to destroy a fleet of attacking ships while repairing any damage the fort sustains. At the start of each level, the player chooses the location of their fort from a number of options. The location is then surrounded by a wall to form a castle, which the player can then place cannons within. After this, an attacking round commences, followed by a repair round where any damage to the castle must be repaired. If the player manages to survive the repair phase by surrounding at least one castle within the time limit, he is given a short amount of time to place additional cannons within the wall of his fort, if he has made room for them, after which the battle resumes. This cycle continues until either the player fails a repair round or enough ships in the enemy's fleet are sunk. When the opposing navy has been sufficiently depleted, the level is won, and the player may then choose another level from the island map. Phase 1 is an attacking round. The player and enemy ships fire at each other using their respective cannons. The player can sink the enemy ships, while the enemy can destroy parts of the player's perimeter. Enemy ships move while they fire around, making it necessary to lead your target, like in Missile Command. Phase 2, build and repair. In the repair round, the player must repair the damage done to the walls surrounding his territory. They are presented with a random series of shapes, Tetris blocks basically, and must place them on the island within a time limit to keep their castle surrounded by walls. While superficially similar to Tetris shapes, these pieces have much greater variety, ranging from a 1x1 square that can fit almost anywhere to a big plus and U-shaped. The pieces do not fall, but may be moved freely around the screen and placed in any spot that does not overlap something already on the board, such as walls, water, castles, cannons, whatever. In Phase 3, we get to place our cannons. After a successful repair round, the player may gain extra cannons, the number depending on the number of castles captured to place in their territory. While Rampart has a lot of different elements, each element of the game interacts with others in very subtle ways. It is generally easier to capture an unknown castle than repair the wall around a starting castle, but without the benefit of the home castle's cannons, the player can have a tough time. Building close to the water will allow the player better aim and to get more shots off during the battle. Each cannonball may have only one. Each cannon. Wow, I only have one cannonball in the air at once. But enemy ships will also get more shots, and castles close to the water are more vulnerable to grunts. Building more cannons gives the player more shots in battle, but once placed, cannons cannot be removed, and too many cannons can make it almost impossible to survive a repair phase. These trade-offs gives Rampart its charm, but also make the game difficult to master. As we talked about, Rampart has been ported to many different systems: the SNES, the Master System, the Mega Drive Genesis, the Lynx PC, Macintosh, Commodore 64, Amiga, and Atari ST all have a version. Separate versions were released for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and there are also separate versions for the NES and Famicom. Megatech gave the Mega Drive version a 90% and Hyper Game Award, saying that it was a superb blend of different game styles. The arcade version of Rampart is also included in the Midway Arcade Treasures compilation, available for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PSP, and with Gauntlet on the Game Boy Advance. Note that most of the home versions of Rampart change the game in non-trivial ways. The Japanese Famicom version includes 7 training levels and 3 difficulty settings. It also features an extensive multiplayer mode for 2 people. Many options can be chosen, such as the number of cannons to start with, and so on. There are also several open source games based on Rampart, such as Kajani Combat and Castle Combat. A PS3 port was released on the PS Network on May of 2007. However, the download is no longer available for purchase. Although it is mostly identical to the arcade version, it supports internet multiplayer play. Games based on Rampart are also available for iOS devices, such as Zen Wars and Hostile Tides. Rampart arguably influenced the first tower defense games, which didn't appear till nearly a decade later. Gameplay similarities include defending a territory by erecting defensive structures and making repair between multiple rounds of attack. And you know what? This was kind of fun. I had fun playing Rampart. I would like to track down some of the other versions and give them a try. I think this was an enjoyable game. It got a 6 over at GameFAQs. I'd give it a 7. I'm feeling generous today.